Fantasy Life I, the girl who steals time, has 14 lives and a life tutorial for each. These tutorials, unfortunately, are not very good, at least they don't convey a lot of information. I'm still getting questions under my Magician Life tutorial video, so let's see if we can't do a tiny bit better. The most common question I receive is regarding elements. What are they and how do I access them? Fantasy Life I has 6 elements: water, fire, earth, air, dark, and light. Unlike Fantasy Life for the 3DS, you can no longer switch between elements on the fly using the D-pad. The elemental magic type that you do is based entirely off of the staff you have equipped. The earliest elemental staffs you're going to get access to are the Red Dragon Staff, the Spooky Staff, the Froggy Wand, the Sage Staff, the Mystical Staff, and the Black Dragon Staff. These doing fire, air, water, earth, light, and dark respectively. Fire is strong against earth. Earth is strong against wind, wind is strong against water, water is strong against fire. Light and dark are kind of special in that they are strong against each other. Each element also kind of has resistances, kind of like in Pokemon. Every element is sort of resistant to itself, but very resistant to the element it is strong against, with the exception of dark and light. Dark is extremely resistant to dark, and light is extremely resistant to light. Outside of the realm of elements, there's also raw magic. Raw magic, you do not have to worry about elemental weaknesses and resistances. However, it will never be quite as good as elemental magic, especially if you're built for it, and using an element that the enemy is weak against. Let's go over the basics of combat. My character is currently level 78, but for all extents and purposes they are just an apprentice. All combat lives in Fantasy Life I have access to a 3-part weak attack combo. Weak attack button on the Xbox gamepad is X. There it is, it can be indefinitely chained. Weak attacks do not consume SP like they did in the 3DS game. You can press Y on the Xbox gamepad for a heavy attack. And doing a weak attack after a roll creates this cool Shotgun of Stars effect, which has actually just gotten me in trouble more times than not because the range is not very good. You can also press right bumper to enter a sort of focus mode where my SP consumption is down, but only for a couple of seconds. On the topic of SP, your bread and butter as a magician is going to be charged attacks. The first one you have access to is Arcane Arts. I did a bit of an oopsie, so I had to unlock this a tiny bit early, but I will be going over that basically now anyway. As a magician, you are not just limited to DPS, you actually have the ability to buff and heal as well. One of the first skills that you unlock is called Switch Magic. Allows you to switch magic spells by holding down right bumper and pressing Y or A. Let's go ahead and pick this up. In practice, that looks like this. Hold down right bumper for a second, since just tapping it uses Meditate. You can press A to go down, Y to go back up. The 2 spells this unlocks are Arcane Guard. 1. What this does is gives you magic defense up and defense up. I could not tell you by how much. I've tried testing it. I even looked at some data mines, but I can't read. It also unlocks Arcane Heal. This heals me for 448 regardless of charge level, so I think it might have something to do with maximum health. I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty uninformed for somebody trying to make a guide. Unfortunately, those only work on you. You're going to need charged heavy attacks if you would like to buff the entire party. If you come here left on the skill tree, pick up some stuff that doesn't actually mean anything. Whoops. And you will eventually get to Spell Boost 1. Unlocks charged attacks, Mystic Punishment, Arcane Barrier, and Healing Forest. Go ahead and buy this. Mystic Punishment is just your heavy charged attack. It does a lot of damage, also eats through a lot of SP. SP restoring items are going to be your other bread and butter as a magician. The other 2 charged heavies are Arcane Barrier. Same thing as Arcane Guard, but it applies to the whole group. And then of course Healing Forest. Same thing, but it's a group heal. It's gotta be based on maximum health. From Switch Magic, if you go left, and then up 2, you unlock Arcane Arts 2, Arcane Arts 1, Power Up, Reduce Charge Time. That is pretty specific. It's simply the spells you already had, but a tiny bit faster. For the same thing, but for your charged attacks, from Spell Boost 1, you just want to go up 1, and then to the left 1. Spell Boost 1, Power Up, reduces charge time. Same basic thing. If you would like to add a bit of more oomph to your spells, just continue going. For the charged attacks, all of the way to the left. Spell Boost 3, Spell Boost 2 Power Up adds new effects to each magic mode. And while we're here, Arcane Arts 2, follow that all of the way to the left. for Arcane Arts 3. Arcane Arts 2 power-up adds new effects to each magic mode. Now that everything is level 3, let's check them out. Arcane Arts 3 applies a magic defense down debuff to the enemy. It's pretty powerful. Mystic Punishment 3, and would like to be wrong about this, it does not actually seem to have a bonus effect. It just deals a ton of damage, which is not a bad thing. But if this does do something else and I'm wrong, could you please let me know in the comments, because I would really like to be wrong about that. Arcane Guard 3 comes with a pretty cool stagger immunity. If you find yourself getting knocked out of charged attacks a lot in combat, that will help you a great deal. Arcane Ward 3, or Arcane Barrier 3 rather, is the same thing but for the whole party, and it seems to stack with Arcane Guard. So I'm going to have to see if that's true, because if it is, that's huge. It's just 2 different defense buffs. Gotta be a bug. And then of course, Arcane Heal 3 comes with a pretty underwhelming auto heal up over time. It's just heal over time. And then of course Healing Forest 3 comes with the same thing, but that one does not seem to stack. 3 doesn't sound like a word anymore, so let's focus on something else. If you go up and then to the right, you get Shooting Star, special skill, light. Unleash a barrage of stars that fall from the sky. This is your special attack. Every life has a super. Alright, that took me a while to actually charge up. There are skills you can pick up that cause your special to charge faster, but because I reset all of my skills, I don't currently have those. Let's show it off though. You can activate it by pressing left bumper and Y. This is a pretty strong attack, at least if you're using a strong staff, which I am not. It's going to deal light elemental damage regardless of the staff you have equipped. I've been using a raw magic staff this entire time for the purposes of the tutorial. From Shooting Star, if you go directly upwards, you get some special attack damage, some plus 10 light damage, and then immediately to the right you get Collapsing Star, special skill, light and dark, conjure a giant black hole. And now it's charged up as well, just to show it off. Once again, left bumper and Y. This one is considerably stronger. It does both light and dark damage, which means that it's strong against both light and dark enemies. But as your super, it's going to be pretty good against anything you point it at, really. On the same skill tree as Collapsing Star, if you go right, more special attack damage, and then finally plus 10% dark damage. I've not even unlocked this one yet, even though I use a dark staff. Nobody ever accused me of being smart. From the center of the skill tree, if you head down, these skills all give you more max SP and HP, as well as SP regeneration. And at the very bottom is plus 10% charge up time, plus 20% charge attack damage. This is extremely good. I recommend getting this even if you don't care about the SP above it. And to the right, every single one of these is just magic attack up. I highly recommend picking these up if you want to deal a lot of damage, but just understand that Magician is never going to deal quite as much damage as Hunter. Hunter is just OP as hell in this game, especially with the ability to poison enemies. Past switch magic is Thaumaturgy. Press right bumper to temporarily but dramatically reduce SP consumption. It's a direct upgrade to Meditate. Further up is plus 10% XP gained. After that is plus 20% Dosh earned. Nobody actually cares. And at the tippy top, the creme de la creme, Boundless Mana. This is the hero skill. Plus 100% natural SP regeneration for all lives. This one is definitely worth picking up. Just to go over some skills that I kind of brushed over because they're not that important. Up here you have Special Charge Plus. It is what I was talking about earlier when I said there are skills that cause your special to charge up faster. And then plus 10 special skill damage. These are worth picking up, they're just not important to me at the moment. Up and then to the left, past water damage, there's wind damage and earth damage. It is worth picking these up, but only if you are using these elemental types. I only use dark magic, so I don't actually need them. Back to the left again. If you go down, there's plus magic defense, magic defense, regular defense. Critical hit rate, and critical hit damage. These are worth picking up, but crits will never really be your bread and butter as a magician. It's all about them charged attacks. And now let's just go over some general tips and tricks. I've been playing as a magician for over 100 hours now, so I've picked up a few things. My first and possibly worst piece of advice is just don't care about elements. There are 6 of them, so unless you want to make 6 different staves and have each of them be perfect, just use whatever you think looks the coolest. If you look, the different elements have different colors as you use them for combat, so just pick the one that you like. The charged attacks and special attacks are never going to look any different, although they do have the element attached to them. Fire was orange. Water, as you expect, would be blue. Wind is a sort of a green color. Earth is a sort of orangey brown. I guess, you know, it is dirt colored. That's probably what they were going for. Its icon is a green leaf, though. I suppose it couldn't be green because wind is, but it's a tiny bit confusing, to me anyway. Light just uses a lot of lighter colors, mostly yellows, which makes sense, that's what the element looks like. And then dark, the coolest of the cool, is just a deep purple. Purple is my favorite color, so even if I wasn't an edgelord, I would be using dark anyway. But it's just really good, as I accidentally mount and dismount my bike. Quick editor's note, I edit my own videos, if you can call it that. Anyway, somebody pointed out on the Discord that I'm part of that light is probably the best element at the moment. Most of the final bosses, without spoiling what they are dark element, which means that they're extremely resistant to dark, the element I use, and they're extremely weak to light. So maybe consider using light instead of dark. Purple is the superior color though. No, just use whatever you want. The game's not that hard, and if more content is added that is really hard, I've got more advice for that anyway. My second piece of advice is party composition. You don't need to balance your party. It's a good idea to have your party members use elements that you don't, just for the type coverage. But like I said, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Odin and Mustache both have abilities that allow them to hold enemy aggro. I don't have those skills unlocked because I don't use paladins, but I'm told that they work. Kind of. Also Hilda, who is also a paladin, is supposedly the best healer in the game. As another bonus, paladin shields can have more XP drop on them. So it is pretty good idea to have them with you, I just don't. I rock a party of 4 mages. My third, final, and probably most absurd piece of advice is to become a hero alchemist. That's a lot of work, but you're going to want to be able to make your own SP potions. As a magician, you're going to be consuming these things like they're water. And Hero Alchemist has a plus 50% chance of gaining another potion after consuming one. So you're pretty much printing potions. It's not necessarily going to mean you never have to craft a potion again. 50% seems like high, heck, it seems like half. But probability is honestly never on your side, so don't expect it to work half of the time, despite that being how it says it works. As a final bit, I would like to apologize. This tutorial is probably not very helpful to min-maxers. I cannot put myself in the shoes of a min-maxer as I am not one. That being said, I would like to think that this tutorial is a tiny bit more helpful than the tutorial the game provides, because the tutorial the game provides doesn't really tell you anything. On that note, I am stupid. I've been recording this for about 2 hours, and I have horrible ADHD, so if there's anything I missed, or something I got wrong, go ahead and put it in the comments. If anybody out there knows how to read data mines, there is information out there on which enemies are weaker to magic and which ones are weaker to physical attacks. I've tried looking into it, but I am super dumb. Should probably just end this now. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and fizzity farewell.